Hi, I'm Jolie,
And I'm Charlie.
and welcome to Teatime Talks, the Language Addict's weekly podcast to help your English listening skills, where we talk about anything and everything. Now, this week is a follow up video from our last podcast where we spoke about chain restaurants and British food um, establishments, their popularity, which ones, and we realised as we were speaking that there is a lot. There is a lot to say, and so in the first half, we spoke about Italian and Mexican, and we briefly touched on Japanese and Asian food. So I'm just going to get right into it and say that one I forgot to mention last week when we were talking about it is one of our personal favourites, and it is Yo Sushi.
Oh wow, yeah, I completely forgot about Yo Sushi. That one is a very popular chain also in the UK. As the name would suggest, it mainly does sushi, but it does also like other things, hot food, chips, kind of other sides. But kind of the main thing about Yo Sushi, I guess that was the initial appeal to it, at least for me, is that it has the like conveyor belts with the sushi, and so you can take them from the conveyor belt.
Yeah, that is the main USP of Yo Sushi, was that it was a conveyor belt restaurant. The sushi comes out on the belt, you pick it up, and you pay by the plates, how many plates you have, and the colours of the plates. Um, I love this. I love this so much. I love not having to interact with people. I will say that in Yo Sushi now, you do, if um when COVID kind of first finished, they were purely QR based, so you didn't really have to speak to anyone. But now I feel like all the restrictions are pretty much gone now. The conveyor belt is back, but also that does mean that you do have to speak to someone if you want hot food. If you want to order hot food, you have to talk to the server. But if you just want the sushi, you just pick it off the line and then you're good. I mean, sometimes you do have to, if you want a specific sushi, they may not have it on the line that day, so you do have to order it. But I just love it. I love the fact that I know how much I'm getting. I know how much I'm going to have to pay. I can have what I want, pick what I want when I want. I can have a pick of it as well because, like, there'll be multiple of the same thing going around, and if you're like, that one doesn't look great, I kind of want the next one. I just love it. And I know that it's kind of, some people love it, some people hate it, some people don't think it's as good as people make out. I think it's quite good.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, I know a lot of people use the argument that it's not very authentic. But look, I've been to Japan. I've been to like a sushi conveyor belt restaurant in Japan. It's not that different, to be honest. The only difference is obviously like where the ingredients have come from and kind of the food choices. But look, every sushi conveyor belt restaurant is a sushi conveyor belt restaurant. There's not that much that's different about them. They might have different sushis, they might have different desserts. Some of them have like screens that you can order on in Japan where you can like choose which ones you want and then they come to you specifically. But in general, there's really not that much difference. And I think, especially for the UK, I can't really think of anywhere else that has that kind of mechanism. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I enjoy that you can just look and choose rather than having to like order things and wait. I mean, you can do that too, but if you just want to like grab something and go, you can do that. And I really enjoy that. I think it's just really fun being able to actually see the food when you choose it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I also feel like from the Yo Sushis we've been to, they tend to be really nice restaurants. And this is completely not really related, but if you ever go to Edinburgh, the Yo Sushi in Edinburgh has the best view of Edinburgh Castle you could ever imagine. It is a magical eating experience because it's just like you look out the window and it's just this magnificent view. So I would highly recommend going to there. I really like Yo Sushi for its convenience, for its taste, for its concept. I will say it is expensive. It is not something that personally I could get every week or multiple times, a week, for example, because it is expensive. If you, as Charlie said, in Japan, like one plate of like the small conveyor belt sushi will be what, like $1 each.
Yeah, it's definitely cheaper in Japan, but obviously people eat more sushi in Japan, so it is going to be cheaper compared to over here. But yeah, I do agree that Yo Sushi in general, the interesting locations a lot of the time. The Edinburgh one was really nice. The one in Birmingham also is on like the top floor above the train station, and there's like wide windows, so you can look down into the concourse and see. There's a big statue of a bull that you can see. yeah, and so in my experience, they just tend to be in quite interesting locations as well, which I also quite enjoy.
Yeah, so I mean, you can also a lot of yo sushi restaurants. Actually, I don't know if that's true. If there's a yo sushi in like a train station, for example, you will normally be able to get like takeaway food
Oh,
that's
really?
already pre-packaged, but then there's some restaurants that you do have to go down and sit in. I'd say that is a very big chain here now, especially I think it's just getting bigger by the day. Um, Talking of that, there's a restaurant right next to Yo Sushi in Birmingham, which is also a chain restaurant. It's pho, and it's literally just called pho, and it's a Vietnamese restaurant which does like the classic Vietnamese dishes like pho. Um, it does like chicken curry and like noodles. I would say it's got a relatively small menu.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super knowledgeable on Vietnamese food, so I'm not sure if there's any like big things that they've missed out of the menu or not. But I'd say obviously the most famous ones are there. They have like curries, they have pho, they have very very tasty spring rolls and things like that. And it's not one I go to very often, but when I do tend to enjoy it. And I do think yeah, I think that's another one that when I talk to people from America specifically, they're surprised that we don't have more Vietnamese food here. So yeah, it's one that doesn't have much competition, I think.
Yeah, I was just about to say like I don't know any other Vietnamese restaurant other than Pho, and that's a chain restaurant. I I will say there is a whole conversation about these chain restaurants in its kind of cultural integrity, and is it really a good idea to have these multi-billion corporations kind of monopolizing cultural traditional foods? That is a whole other conversation in itself. But as an introduction to Vietnamese food, as someone who had never been exposed to it before, just because I had never seen it, I enjoyed it. I think I've never been to another pho restaurant that's not in the one that we went to, which is in a train station, and that does change the vibe. But it does show that it is very much like an accessible kind of restaurant, I would say. Um, Moving on to maybe again more quick service restaurants, completely different to what we've spoken about, is Subway.
Ah, yeah.
So Subway is a massive chain here. You can find Subways everywhere. There's like three in our small town, um, already. So they are very popular, and there's kind of like a love-hate relationship with Subway. Some people think it's so gross, and why would you like Subway? I am personally of the opinion I love it. I love Subway. We do not have in the UK kind of sandwich delis. That's not something we have. We have meal deals, which are a thing in and of itself. We don't have delis like in America. That's a massive thing, and I know in other cultures as well. There's also a huge thing where you can go and I'm not saying we don't have the ingredients for that. I would say some British butchers are some of the best. Like the deli meats that you can get are great, but to have an establishment where you go and you're like, I want this sandwich, this bread, this meat, this vegetables. That Subway's the only one, really.
Yeah, I definitely think that is true. I have watched American videos where people go to similar well, not restaurants, but they go to similar kind of shops and establishments where you can kind of make your own sandwich and you just tell the person what you want and they make it for you. And Subway is not the only one that exists in America. There's like a lot of different places that offer that service. Whereas in the UK, that's not really very common. We don't really have, yeah, I feel like kind of build your own food places are a little bit uncommon compared to other places, maybe. For me personally, I just find them a bit awkward because I have to make so many decisions and I have to tell someone what to do. And I don't know, I'm not going to make sweeping statements about like British people in general, but for me, I just find it a bit weird. I just panic a bit. But I do enjoy Subway. It's not somewhere I go often, honestly. But I went there a few months ago and it was fine. Um, and I know a lot of people who really do like it. Some of my friends like swear by it. They'll like get a very large like Subway sandwich and like keep it for like the next day as well. Like a lot of people really enjoy it, but I'm not sure within the UK in general. There's a lot of stores, but I don't know how high it ranks up on sort of the fast food popularity list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, as I said, I feel like it's very divisive. People either really like Subway or people are like, that's gross. I'm literally one of those people that gets like a foot long sandwich and eat has half and then keeps the other half the next day because I just think it's so good. It is expensive. I feel like the prices have gone up so high.
They have,
For
yeah.
what it is expensive, but it's also like unless I go to the grocery store and get all of these items, I will not be able to find that kind of like a handmade sandwich. And not just a handmade sandwich, but like specific fillings anywhere else. I do think it's interesting to note though that Subway's, I would say, very behind in terms of like not behind, but it's traditional in the fact that you have to talk to people.
Yeah.
If you're coming here from and you're not really good with English, or you don't really feel confident in speaking to people, Subway's maybe one that I would avoid. You can use apps like Uber Eats. You can now Uber Eats Subway, and that means that you can choose it online and you don't have to speak to anyone. But if you are going into a Subway deli shop, you are going to have to speak to people. You're going to have to talk to them multiple times. You're going to have to explain what you want. There is no way to kind of automate or self order this in store. There's not like um now in a lot of fast food places. I mean, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, Popeyes, which is still very new in the UK. I don't know. Does KFC have it? I don't know.
I think so.
You when you go in, they will have like screens that you can order on, and then they'll just call your number, and you can go and get it. You don't have to talk to anyone. You don't have to interact with anyone. Subway's not like that. You will not find that. You have to go up to the counter. You have to tell them what you want. You have to tell them when, where, what, why, how, and then you have to pay at the end. Which um, most places still accept cash on card, so I would not say that is a worry to worry about. Some restaurants will state we only take card. Just it depends. It really does depend. But yeah, Subway is kind of that one where maybe if you're not confident in ordering, don't go there yet because it is daunting. Um, I do love it though. I think it's such a just I don't know. I just maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe that plays part of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, I haven't had Subway that many times in my life. And I remember kind of one of the first times I tried Subway was when I was probably about like 13, and me and my friends went to a shopping center, and there's a Subway there. Like, there's like a food hall, and so it's quite a small Subway. It's not really like a proper shop, it's kind of like a store almost. And I remember we went there for the first time, and yeah, I had that interaction where they were asking me things. They're like, okay, what do you want? Which type of bread do you want? Which fillings do you want? And I had never been there before, and so I was just like, oh my god, I'm like overwhelmed with options and what I'm meant to be doing. Um, but what I got in the end was very tasty, and I really liked it. I'm not someone who, yeah, I don't go to Subway very often. So, on the scale of like love to hate, I would say I'm firmly in the middle. But it is an interesting one. But yeah, in terms of like general trends with like restaurants and things like that, especially with fast food, well, with fast food restaurants in general, a lot of them have screens now, which wasn't really the case like 10 years ago.
Not even 10 years ago. I'd
Yeah.
say 5 years ago.
Even 5 years ago, that was kind of a new thing because of COVID, which is crazy that COVID was 5 years ago, first of all. But I think a lot of the reason why things changed to be a bit more digital was because of COVID, and a lot of it's kind of just remained, and it still happens anyway now just for convenience. Because I guess, you don't have to interact with as many people, and personally, I quite enjoy that.
No, 100%. I love that. Someone that doesn't want to talk to people. I just want to order and sit with my friends. I struggle. No, maybe not so much anymore. But if I don't have to interact with someone, I will happily not do that. But yeah, as you said, there's so much that was put in place for due to COVID, ordering through QR codes, which I know in some countries, like in China, that's way, way behind. Like they're doing like biometrics and stuff, for payment. And so, that might seem like a standard procedure, but 5 years ago it wasn't. Um, but now it kind of has stuck around. I do notice now though that more restaurants are getting rid of it. Um, I'd say last year, even 99% of chain restaurants you go in, you could order through a QR code. Um, Now I'd say there's maybe like less slightly, like Yo Sushi, like we can't order on QR codes, I don't think
Not
anymore.
anymore, I don't think.
Some restaurants still have that, and I think we'll still keep that because they realize how popular it is. But I do think it is getting less and less now. Um, Speaking of kind of that realm of food, though, it is different, but it's not as different to other ones. We have to talk about Greg's.
This is true, yeah. In fact, we had a Greg's today. I love Greg's. I mean, I feel like if you talk to British people, it is one of the top things that they will mention when it comes to food, which is quite funny because it's not like a fancy restaurant or anything like that. But it's just such a reliable, well loved chain in the UK. Like, everywhere you go, there's a Greg's. Like, again, even in our somewhat small city, there's probably at least three or four, five Greg's. There's a lot of them. Um, and I, I guess you could sort of call it fast food, but at the same time, it's more like a bakery, sort of like a cafe esque fast food.
Yeah, Greg's is definitely goes beyond a chain restaurant. It's a cultural establishment
Yeah.
at this point. Um, I do agree. It's a bakery. I'm pretty sure they're like I don't know if it still is called that, but it was Greg's Bakery. Um, but it's kind of a weird one because you don't really go in there and get a full meal.
Yeah.
I do. They do have like meal deals, but it's literally just a sandwich and a bottle of pop, which for some people it may be a full meal. But um, we'll do a whole other episode on meal deals. But it's just a bakery really. A hot counter. They have sausage rolls, which is what they're most famous for, and they are delicious. They also do vegan rolls now, which are, as someone who's not vegan, pretty good. I would happily have a vegan sausage roll. One of the things that they offer as well, which I have never been a fan of, but so many people loved, especially kids love, is the pizza slices.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like whenever I see people trying Greg's, like doing Greg's hauls, they try the pizza. I'm not sure I've ever had the pizza. It doesn't look very appetizing to me. I think it kind of reminds me of like when I was in school and they had pizza.
It's like cafeteria pizza.
Yeah, it very much is. It's just like square piece of pizza. Looks very kind of basic. And I'd say one of the appeals about Greg's is the price. To be fair, it's definitely more expensive than it used to be, but that's just inflation. But it still the prices are relatively affordable. I feel like I see a lot of people going there for lunch and just to grab a sausage roll or like a sandwich and a drink. You can get hot drinks in there as well. There's quite a lot of variety for such a small place. Um, and yeah, I also will agree with you on the vegan sausage rolls. I actually, hot take, enjoy them more than the regular sausage rolls, which is controversial, I know, but I'm not that big of a fan of sausage anyway, and I quite enjoy them. But yeah, Greg's is definitely just everywhere. Like, I can't even begin to guess how many Greg's there are in the UK.
Yeah, they're literally you cannot go 5 feet without seeing a Greg's. Um, the main things they sell are the sausage rolls, the pizza slices, and bakes. So these are bakes are basically a pastry kind of square that has fillings inside of them. I guess it's our kind of British version of like a dumpling or a bao bun or something. One may say. You can get steak bakes, chicken bakes. They have specialty bakes. Those are the main sellers. I will say, even though technically it is a bakery, you can't go in there and buy like a baguette or like a loaf of bread. They sell the hot food, so the sausage rolls and the bakes, as I said, and they also have like sweet stuff. So they have like cupcakes and small little desserts, cookies, little cakes. That's mainly what it is. And then they have some cold food, like they'll have like some sandwiches and some pasta salads, I think, as well. But I would say they're not as popular as the hot food counter.
Yeah.
As I said, it's not really somewhere that you go and get a whole meal, but it's definitely a place everyone goes to Greg's. Everyone knows what they get from Greg's. Everyone has something they love from Greg's. Greg's is great. I also think it is absolutely mental that you like the vegan sausage roll more than the original one, but I will move on from that point. Um, That was a big deal though when that came out
It
because a
was.
lot of I don't really. There's not really a other Begs. There's not really another Greg's competitor.
That is a very good point, to be fair. Like, I feel like Greg's is somewhat of a unique experience. I don't really know how to put it. It's hard to categorize it as anything. It's like, okay, it's a bakery, but it's also fast food, but it's also like a cafe. It's like, it's hard to put in a box. And I can't really think of any other competitors. Like, a cafe is not the same as Greg's, not in the slightest. I just really can't think of anything else like it because it's fresh, it's hot food, a lot of it. You can also get sandwiches. It's a very casual place. Like, if I'm shopping, if I'm out and about with like my mom and we're just a bit hungry, a bit peckish, but we're not going to sit down and have a full meal, then Greg's is just a great option. You pop in, you have a sausage roll or a sandwich or whatever you want and a drink. It's fairly cheap, and then you can continue doing your shopping. It's not like a full meal. It's just like a snack, which I feel like there are very few places, very few kind of establishments that are for snacks. Like, even if you go to a cafe a lot of the time, you get a drink, and a lot of the time you get some kind of sweet food of some sort. But in general, I just don't think there are many food places that are more on the casual side for like snacks rather than a full meal.
No, I agree. There's the only other thing I can think of is totally not related to Greg's at all, but it's the pretzel place. I can't remember
Oh,
what it's called,
yeah.
which literally just serves like a few varieties of warm pretzels and some pizza slices. I do also want to say that when we talk about Greg's, not there's not really anything else like Greg's. That does not mean that we have so many independent bakeries which will sell sausage rolls and sandwiches and cobs. Most of them you probably won't be able to eat in, but they will sell what Greg's sell, but they will be like independent, family run maybe stores. We have lots of those, but a chain version like Greg's, I don't think we really have one. Um, but yeah, Greg's is an absolute icon of a place. I love Greg's. And I think everyone likes it because everyone has like nostalgia attached to it. And again, like as you said, it's just a snack. If you're a bit peckish, you just go and get a Greg's, get a sausage roll or a steak bake or whatever, and just do you know what? It's just enough.
It is. I agree. I think it's just perfect. I mean, people say this with a lot of fast food chains where there's that kind of feeling of like familiarity with them because they all look the same, they all sell the same food, you know what to expect. And obviously that's going to be the case with McDonald's or Pizza Hut or wherever, that kind of place, like fast food, proper food place. But a lot of the time, if I was in another country and I wanted a quick snack, I would have to look up cafes on Google Maps and then try and decide which cafe to go to, and they're all different, and I don't know what they sell, and it's all different food. Whereas in the UK, you've got Greg's. If you're ever in doubt, if you want a snack but you don't really want to be looking around and flipping through different options, Greg's is there, and I think that in itself is really kind of one of the best things about Greg's is that you want a snack, you can go to Greg's. You don't have to like worry or like search around too much because they're everywhere. It's one of those places where you'll turn around and sometimes there's two in the same street kind of place,
Yeah,
which is interesting. But yeah, I think Greg's is great.
yeah. So we've mentioned obviously Greg's, which is a very, very, very British chain, food chain, and there's been a couple like um I think we mentioned the last one that while they're not British food, they're more kind of UK specific. So like Wagamama's, I don't know if that's international. I could be wrong, but there is no denying most fast food chains, most chains, food wise, are American. They've come over and they've plonked themselves down and they've never left. We have the classics like McDonald's and KFC, Burger King, um, which I would say are like the main three
Yeah.
big ones, like burger kind of place, and you will find them everywhere. McDonald's are everywhere. They've been around for a long time. I mean, I feel like I remember my mom telling me about her first time having like a McDonald's in the 80s, which is kind of
Oh, that's
mental.
interesting.
Um, but those have kind of become established over here for a long time, but we have seen an influx recently of more American fast food chains coming over here that we've never had before.
Yeah.
So, and they've kind of slowly, slowly come over. You know, there was like one in London, and then maybe they put one in London and one in Manchester, and they've very, very slowly started to pop up all over the place. And the ones that really come to mind are Wendy's,
Mm-hmm.
Taco Bell,
Yeah.
Popeyes,
Mm-hmm.
and was there another one? I don't know. But those three are the ones that I can really think of. In they like 2 years ago, we did not have those here, and they're still very hard to find. The only Wendy's I've ever seen and been to is in London, and then I know there was a Taco Bell in Edinburgh and in Glasgow.
I have tried Taco Bell in London, and I think that's the only place I've tried that. I think I heard they were going to open a Wendy's in Birmingham, but I don't know if they did or not. Um, but I feel like, yeah, it's one of those cases where they open one in London or one or two in London just to test the waters and see if it's popular enough to be kind of sustainable, I guess, to put in other places. Because realistically, there's McDonald's and KFC and Burger King, they take up a big amount of like the market share overall. Like especially McDonald's, I'd say is the most popular one.
Because everyone knows it. Everyone knows what McDonald's offers. Everyone knows what they want from McDonald's. It's been here for so long that it's just like you know where you stand. So to introduce a new one, people are like, I don't really know. So yeah, I do think you're right in that they kind of test the waters with a few. Another one that I've just thought of is the one is Jollibee,
Oh.
which
Yeah, I've never tried that one actually, I don't think. But that is definitely true. I feel like McDonald's is so just established. It's almost like the default option for
yeah,
fast food. Whereas if there's a new place, I am kind of hesitant to try it because I'm like, okay, I've never tried this before. I don't really know what exactly they sell. I don't know how expensive it is compared to McDonald's. What if I don't like it? You know, there's all these just kind of like common sense things where it's like, if it's a new restaurant, people, there are going to be people who are excited because it's a new restaurant and they want to try it. But, these kind of restaurants, apart from McDonald's, obviously, are a bit unfamiliar to us in the UK. I know they're already massive in America. But to us in the UK, they are completely new. So it's always a bit of a risk, is why I think they always open one or two, see what happens. They might not spread, or they might, depending on how popular they are. There's like one or two that have opened in Birmingham, which I would say is a sign that they are spreading because despite how big Birmingham is, I feel like they're more likely to try Manchester or like Glasgow or Edinburgh first. So I'd say if it spreads to Birmingham, that's when I'm like, okay, they seem to be trying to expand a bit.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. Even though Birmingham is the second biggest city in England, we do kind of get things a little bit later. They do tend to go London, then Manchester, then like Edinburgh, and then they slowly make their way down to Birmingham. Um, but yeah, they've just infiltrated, really. And I mean, I haven't tried Taco Bell. We had one thing from Wendy's. Did we share some
I
chips?
think we shared some chips or some like chicken nuggets and like a milkshake.
I wasn't a fan, I will admit, but that could have just been an off day, whatever. Um, we have tried Popeyes, and I very much think Popeyes is so good because we really don't have that kind of chicken anywhere
Yeah.
else in the UK. I guess the closest equivalent is KFC, but it just doesn't match. I don't think.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know how popular KFC is in America in terms of like the rankings of things, but in the UK, I feel like I've talked to people who really love KFC, but I feel like the average person I talk to feels very kind of like about KFC. Like I don't really ever go to it. The only time, which I feel like is also quite interesting to point out, there's certain kind of like fast food restaurants that are very popular at like service stations.
Yeah.
And I feel like the only time I ever get a Burger King or a KFC is if I'm at a random service station between London and here at like 1 a.m. and the only thing open is a KFC or a Burger King. That's kind of the only time I would go to them. Otherwise, I'd just go to McDonald's. Um, but yeah, I feel like there's a very clear ranking. But there are definitely new ones opening. There's also a Shake Shack in
Yeah.
Birmingham now, which I haven't tried because I went in and saw how expensive it was. I think that's another kind of problem with the new ones that are coming over, is that obviously if it's a well established brand, their prices are going to be quite low because they can like bulk order things and just things like that. They're earning more money. Whereas the new chains that are coming over, they're still very new and they still need to make profit, and so they can be more expensive sometimes.
New in the UK.
Yes, in the
Yeah,
UK.
so like we're not trying to say that they're not already well established, where they're from, but as you said, like they have to establish a market first. Um but yeah, we are having a massive kind of influx of these American chains, which we've only ever seen in movies and TV and the internet now coming over, and it's like, oh well, we have those. British specific wise, Greg's is really one of the only ones I can really think of in terms of like we actually don't have a lot of fast food restaurants that are British, I would say. There is chain restaurants that I'd say are British. Like you could argue that Weatherspoons is a chain restaurant because it's a chain of pubs and they serve food. Same with Hungry Horse, those kind of carveries, Toby Carvery.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like we should do a whole other episode on that because
Yeah,
the whole aspect of
carveries.
a carvery is a whole other thing. But we are like most food chains do come from America. And as we said, they're established. Like McDonald's is the default, like you said, and so they are the most popular and they'll be everywhere. Chain wise, I don't know, I'm trying to think and what chain do I really, really love, and I really don't know. It kind of like each of them has a different kind of usage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I feel ill, I'm like, oh, I kind of want this one. Or if I'm like, oh, I want to go somewhere for my birthday, let's go here.
Yeah.
It's like there's a weird mixture between like fast food chains and just like chain restaurants, and there's so much. But going back to McDonald's, it's actually kind of interesting because recently in the UK we had a campaign, or a limited edition menu, should one say, where they introduced items from around the world. And I wonder, I mean, there definitely 100% is, but which of the kind of burgers that we have or the food we have that is specific to the UK?
That is a very good point because I kind of make it my mission every time I go to a new country to try the McDonald's. I just feel like it has to be done. It's kind of, I feel like, just interesting to compare. Like, it just kind of, I don't know, it's like an interesting point of comparison, I think, between countries. And so I've tried many a different McDonald's. And to be fair, I feel like a lot of the items we have are just kind of everywhere has it. There are definitely some UK specific ones that I've seen people talk about, but I don't really go to McDonald's often enough to try the seasonal things. I kind of always just get the same things every time. Whereas when I've been abroad, I have tried some of the more local things. Like when I was in Japan, I tried the samurai burger, things like that. And in Europe, they have some different burgers as well. And we definitely do have some things that are unique to the UK, but I've never tried them.
Yeah, so I just literally just quickly googled it, and apparently the UK exclusive items, funnily enough, are a breakfast item, which is a bacon roll, which is very British. It's literally just a bacon sandwich, a bacon cob. There's a whole conversation about what people call these sort of bread items: a cob, a roll, a bun, a bap. Um, Apparently, also the banana milkshake is unique to the UK,
Wow.
which I'm surprised at. I love the
I
banana
did not
milkshakes.
know that. I used to have it when I was a kid, every now and then. I didn't realise that was just an us thing.
I'm so surprised at that. I thought that would have at least been America or something.
Yeah.
And the big flavour wraps, which
Yeah.
I know are a very popular item in the UK, is the wraps from McDonald's
Yeah.
because they're quite cheap and they're quite big actually.
They're decent. I think I had one time because I saw it advertised actually, like on like a billboard, but like the kind of small screens that you see at like tram stops. I think I saw it advertised on there, and I think on like Wednesdays they were like $1.99 or something. They were quite cheap, and so I tried it, and it was quite tasty to be fair.
Yeah, I also do want to preface that it does say that Iron Brew being served in Scotland,
Ah,
obviously, which makes sense. But yeah, it's really interesting that those are the only apparently the only really three kind of UK exclusives, um, you're always safe at McDonald's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, if you're coming over here, you will be able to find a McDonald's very, very easily. You'll be able to find a Burger King very, very easily, and you will be able to order without speaking to someone. You can order on the screen as long as you know or can kind of recognize what your number is going to sound like when they shout it out. You'll be fine. I mean, when we went to the countries, we didn't really have a, you know, even if we only had a tiny bit of like language experience there, you can manage a McDonald's.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm feel like we've spoken about so many different things, and we kind of started off with more like restaurants, and now we're kind of like fast food restaurants, which are very two different things, but are equally as popular in the UK. Um, to end these two wonderful podcasts, what would you say is your favorite chain restaurant?
Chain restaurant, so not fast food, just chain.
Yeah, so chain restaurant you said was wasabi, so let's say fast food restaurant.
Ooh, okay. I would say this is a tough one because I do like McDonald's. It's the one I've just had for my entire life and I've never really branched out from that. I never, even as a kid, really had KFC or Burger King. So I would say McDonald's is my favorite just because it's the one I go to the most. I know I like most of the food. It's cheap, there's a lot of good about it. However, recently having tried Popeyes, I do also enjoy Popeyes. However, I do think I have to be in the mood for it. McDonald's I can eat whenever, wherever, literally. Whereas Popeyes, I do think I have to be in a Popeyes mood because it's all chicken. But
Yeah.
I do also enjoy Popeyes.
I completely agree. I would say Popeyes is my favorite at the moment, just because it's so good. But yeah, McDonald's, because like I will agree that with Popeyes, the thing is like it is just chicken.
Yeah.
So if you like fancy a beef burger, like you can't get that. McDonald's does have it. It has the beef burgers, it has the chicken burgers, it has the chicken nuggets, it has the wraps. It's just a staple, really, isn't it? Like you know where you stand. You have the nostalgia. So yeah, but I would, if I wasn't going to say McDonald's, which I feel like is the standard answer, Popeyes. But also, I do really enjoy tortilla.
Interesting. I have only been to Tortilla a couple of times, and I think I think both times I went with you, to be fair. We went before we went on holiday,
Yeah.
and to be fair, I feel like I've put myself in positions where I can't, like, fairly rank Tortilla. Because the first time was, yeah, it was very early in the morning before we had a big travel day. I wasn't really hungry, and so I had this massive tortilla, and it just made me feel a bit ill. And then the other time was when after the Stray Kids concert in London, and we went and they just didn't have much. Like, I went and I was like, can I have this? And they were like, we don't have any. And so I just ended up having a bit of a weird mishmash meal. I don't blame Tortilla for that though. Like, I do think, again, there's not that many places where you can kind of choose what you want on things, so it's good in that sense. It's just kind of quick and easy, and that is good.
Yeah, that is up there. But I do feel like Popeyes and tortilla are two very different things.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I will sit down and eat at Popeyes, but like with tortilla, I'm like, okay, I'm grabbing a burrito and like dipping. And then just to end off the thing, I would say that my favorite chain restaurant is got to be Nando's. You can't beat a Nando's. It's just so good.
You can't beat a cheeky Nando's, yeah.
Truly. And there's a reason it's stuck around. There's a reason it's become a cultural icon. So yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed these two podcasts about chain restaurants and kind of what the easy access food options are in the UK. What's popular, what kind of the style of the restaurants are, and even delving into the menu a few times. So if you're on a trip to the UK soon, or you're moving here and you just want to know what it's really like, hopefully this is a little bit more informative than maybe some other podcasts. That sounded a bit shady and I didn't mean it to be. No, but yeah, we hope you guys agreed with our takes. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, maybe you don't know what we're talking about. But we will see you in the next episode, and give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. Let us know what you would like us to talk about next, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.